Happy Monday and welcome to another edition of JohnnyVlogs. In this one, I've had a few people bring up this thing to me in comments, and it's almost enough for a brain scratch. It's really been itching at my head, but I was trying to do some research on it today, and quite honestly, the research is so hard and difficult to acquire that I don't think I could do a brain scratch on it yet. Now maybe if you guys help me out a little bit, send me some additional links or additional info that you think helps bring this fuzzy picture into some form of clarity, I can do a brain scratch on it. But if nothing else, I thought it was worth talking about here on JohnnyVlogs, and that is the flat earth theory. Is the earth really flat? I know, some of you right now are rolling your eyes, and as a matter of fact, my initial reaction to it was that, but you know, I try to keep an open mind, and there is definitely a fairly large and passionate audience about this topic. There's even a Flat Earth Society, which I've taken a look at their website and tried to review their information, and I do say tried to review their information because quite honestly, I've looked at several different people that are professing to have some information about this flat earth theory, and it boils down to these, in my mind, extremely controversial science experiments that they're saying are providing them with the result they're looking for. For example, one of them is talking about how a boat that is going out into the water does not disappear behind a hill of water, that if you use a telescope you can bring the boat back into view. I think there are some misconceptions. There's some theories that talk about how planes would not be able to fly to certain places in the times that we're saying that it takes. For example, if it takes you 10 hours to fly from California to Tokyo, once the plane was off the planet and the planet was spinning, depending on the direction the planet was spinning, the plane could be getting to Tokyo faster or taking much longer because it's having to catch up with the speed of the planet's rotation, which is strange to me. Some of these theories seem to be discounting certain aspects of physics and science to kind of make them work. Like, for example, in that airplane scenario I was just talking about, I don't think many of us feel like the atmosphere is a separate system from Earth. So getting a plane off the ground doesn't solve the problem of the Earth's rotation. Planes are riding on the air. Air is in some form attached to the ground. There is pressure that is pushing down on that air. That's why we have winds and all kinds of phenomena like that. Even in some of their flat land tests, how do you know the land is flat? For example, in one of their arguments, they were talking about over a 6-mile radius. If you look at something, that 6 miles should be enough to see the curvature of the Earth, so the object should fall off. That might be true. I'm not sure if 6 miles is really long enough. I'm not that well versed on that topic. However, you would have to take into account where the land is in terms of sea level. If this point in the 6 miles is 10 feet above sea level, but this one is 200 feet above sea level, that could look like a straight line even with curvature affected. So it's really strange. I'm really trying to keep an open mind on this. I'm really trying to review their information, but I keep getting knocked in the head with this saying. I think it was Albert Einstein that said, if you really feel like you know a subject, you should be able to explain it to your grandmother. And I still cannot find a decent source that boils this down to a practical way of explaining it straightforward. You guys know that's something that I like to pride myself in, is taking concepts and being able to relay them to other people in kind of an easy to digest manner. There is nothing easy to digest about these flat earth theories. They are involved in some areas. It's almost like they oversteep in the science. In other areas, it's way too simplified for it to be believable. So I'm kind of the mindset right now that I don't understand the belief structure behind it, and I want to. You can't really debate something unless you understand the other person's point of view. And even after watching videos, reviewing websites, I still don't understand their point of view in this. Now, I do have to mention, some of this belief structure seems to tie around the Bible. I'm seeing some biblical references here, and even in terms of motive, why would several, countries our whole NASA and space exploration system, why would all of these entities work together to hoax the fact that the world is round? What is the benefit of that? And quite honestly, from what I've seen in this world, there is only money or power, the two things that are major things that people will reach for in terms of even running a simple business or putting together conspiracies or hoaxes. And I don't understand the benefit of the flat earth hoax. Who does it benefit? I mean, I suppose because of the biblical references I'm seeing, that some people are thinking that it might have been used to disprove some elements of the Bible or something to that manner. In modern times, I don't think those type of, if it's even a theological, I guess it is a theological debate, I don't think that that's really a place where people would whip it out and say, well, the Bible was wrong about the flat earth, so it must be wrong about everything else. It just doesn't have a lot of value to me there, so I don't think that that's enough of a motive. So if you have any ideas on the motive, why would science essentially hoax us into believing the earth is round when it is indeed flat, please let me know. I was also curious about the edges of the earth, because if you do assume that instead of us being on a sphere, we're on a large flat surface, that means that there is a ton of edge area. Now, according to the theory that I saw, the edge is ice crusted, which helps keep the water in, like we're a giant pie. I'm sorry, I'm really trying to remain open-minded about this, but it just kind of seems silly. The thing about Earth being flat is, even if we were a giant pie, there is still an edge and there is still a bottom. There is indeed another side to it. And it would not be very hard, especially nowadays in the age of modern air travel, and in particular even with drones, if you don't believe the airlines, get to the edge of the Earth and take a picture of it. Considering how much edge area there is in a flat Earth scenario, you have thousands and thousands and thousands of miles of this edge. And all we need to do is see a picture of it. Take a drone, fly it above it. Now, from what I've seen, I believe the counter to that theory would be, well, but it's way off in the frozen tundra, it'd be very difficult to get to. Someone has to have a helicopter that believes in this theory. Take the helicopter out to the edge and see what happens. It also reminds me, I believe it was a movie from the 80s called, and I was really young when I saw this, so I might have this wrong. I think it was called The Gods Must Be Crazy, Part 2. And if I remember right, it was about an African tribal, a tribe, and a Coke bottle shows up there. And one of them is tasked with taking it to the edge of the earth and throwing it away. So it just kind of strikes me that the plot for a wacky 80s comedy is now something that people are seriously debating and talking about in this Flat Earth Society and other groups all around this. So, friends, Geek and Dorks pals, do me a favor. If you have any information that helps define this Flat Earth theory a bit better than I've laid it out, if you have maybe some input on their testing and how those tests are truly replicating and representing their point of view well, please drop it in the comments below. Also, if you think that it's a crackpot theory, I want to hear from you guys too. I'm really looking into trying to hear both sides of this to see if I can get some kind of feeling about why this theory is coming back up after thousands and thousands of years. Pictures from space, from numerous spacecraft showing the Earth is round. A theory that does not complete itself in science because, like I said, if it is flat, I mean, we've got all kinds of issues to worry about. How is gravity working? How does air pressure really work? Why are people so fascinated with calling us the center of the universe? Some of these people that support this theory say that the moon and the sun are indeed spheres. Why would Earth be different? Once again, this feels like it's pushing back to a biblical explanation, but if you have any input on it, I'm really looking forward to reviewing it in the comments. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this Monday. Hope you all have a great Thanksgiving, and I'll catch you during the rest of the week with the regular shows. Take care, everyone.